Hello there sexy PlayStation gamers, and welcome back to another pure PlayStation video review, and this time it's Superhot Mind Control Delete on PS4. When Superhot first burst onto the scene in 2016, it caused quite the stir. With the tagline, "Time moves when you do," the simple graphics but intricate gameplay blew everyone away. Combine that with the fact that it made you feel like Neo from the Matrix, and it was always going to be a runaway success. Superhot VR followed a few years later, but that only served to give people hunger for more rather than satisfy anyone's appetite. Fast forward 4 years and that hunger might be sated, or at least eased. Superhot Mind Control Delete takes all the things from the original and throws a few new things into the mix. While most of these innovations stick, and a few not so much, the core gameplay remains the same, and it is as fun and fast as it ever was. Having said that, if you've played the original, then you know how Superhot works. Each level sees waves of red enemies attacking, but they only move when you do. Bullets freeze mid-flight, enemies stop their attacks mid-swing, only resuming when you move the analog stick. Superhot lies somewhere between action game and puzzler, as each level becomes a chess-like ballet of chaos as you plan each move in order to take out your assailants as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Superhot Mind Control Delete takes this formula and tinkers with it ever so slightly, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Foregoing the level progression from the first one and replacing it with a grid-like map that consists of several nodes, Superhot assumes you are familiar with the series and throws you straight into it. Each node contains a series of levels that randomize where enemies will spawn. Where the first game felt like you were working through a series of puzzles, with enemies spawning in set locations, allowing you to memorize and plan ahead, Mind Control Delete feels more action focused, largely due to this change. Memorizing enemy locations was a strategy to be utilized, but by randomizing spawn points, that strategy is made useless. Enemies will continue to swarm on you until you have defeated a set amount, or they have kicked your ass instead. In another change, Mind Control Delete starts off with 3 hearts, as opposed to the one-touch kills of the original. With these 3 hearts, you have to complete the 6 or so scenarios within each node, and losing all 3 resets the node and the scenarios, so you have to start it all again. Again, another minor change, but it is one that has a significant impact on how the game plays. You might sail through the earlier scenarios, but then stumble towards the end. Lose your hearts and then reset, starting again, but with different scenarios to test yourself against. This can very quickly escalate into a loop of failure, and I found that would cause me to get frustrated and fail even more, struggling to break the cycle. Initially, when the scenarios changed, I was confused as to what was happening. Had I died and thus failed? Did I have access to the node and start again, or work my way back up to my original starting point? Years of being conditioned by games to expect a set thing to happen when your character dies led me to believe this change was attributed to my failure, and I'll be honest, it messed with me initially before I got my head around what was actually going on. Once I figured out it was all part of the process, it didn't feel as jarring, but even so, there is definitely something psychological about failure causing everything to change, and whether by accident or by design, it does add to the whole mess with your head dynamic that Superhot strives for. One downside to this trial and error gameplay is that things feel repetitive very quickly. Although the scenarios you're faced with might change, how you navigate them and the ultimate goal of each one is still the same: destroy your enemies without being taken down yourself. The gameplay does hold up, but after a few levels I did find that my attention was wandering, as things just started to feel a little bit repetitive with only the background really changing. Mind Control Delete does try and invigorate this a little bit, but the new features that have been introduced don't go far enough to stop the game from feeling repetitive after a while. Alongside the levels contained within each node, Mind Control Delete introduces hacks. Hacks allow you to improve your already godlike abilities, such as refilling your hearts or starting levels with a weapon. Each hack lasts for the duration of the node you're currently completing, and once finished, they reset back to base abilities. New hacks can be unlocked as you play by finding them within the node map. Once unlocked and activated, they're added to a list that you can choose from, which mixes up how you play. Mind Control Delete also introduces a new enemy type, one that is predominantly white but with a splash of red. The white part of these enemies is invincible, and if you want to smash these mannequin-like buggers to smithereens, you have to hit them in the red bit. The red bit could be their head or an arm or a leg, but wherever it is, it serves as a nice break in the flow when you have to switch it up a bit and aim for a particular body part in order to defeat them. As for story, Mind Control Delete continues to build up on the idea of you living in a simulation and being able to manipulate the world around you. Although it doesn't really have a story to follow, simply putting you in one situation after another, sometimes text will briefly flash up on the screen extending the mythology and helping to further the ideas established in the first game. Mind Control Delete takes what worked in the first game and tries to build on it with a few tweaks and new takes on the familiar formula. Fans of the first game will love it, as it does build on the mythos and gameplay Superhot is known for. But be warned, it does start to get repetitive, especially towards the end. That said, Mind Control Delete is a solid sequel, and if you enjoyed Superhot, you'll be pleased to find more of the same here. And that brings us to the end of this review. If you're here till the end, well done, thank you very much. If you haven't already, like and subscribe helps us bring you more stuff. Until next time, keep washing your hands, keep playing games, and stay sexy. Bye!